everybody. My name is Volker Friedrich. I'm the founder and managing partner of GBP International. We are a business and project management consulting company with a focus on Asia. In our series of interviews, I have the pleasure today to speak with one of the experts from the German-European China perspective, especially in the machinery and engineering sector, and welcome Dr. Ömer Ganiyusufoglu. You are in China, and we have started a short introductory talk, and you are starting a new position as an advisor to the Qingdao Research Park. And before that, you have been working in a very, I would say, exclusive and unique position as the advisor to the chairman of the largest machine tool manufacturer in the world, Shenyang Machine Tools. And I would like to start our discussion with the question, how is the situation in China today? If we read the German newspapers and headlines, it's a very mixed bag, and some people do trust the media, others don't. So it's always best to ask people on the ground. So maybe you'd like to welcome our viewers shortly. It was an introduction and a short report about the state of affairs in China today.
Yeah, Mr. Friedrich, thank you very much for this kind introduction, and thank you very much for inviting me for this interview. It's a pleasure for me. And I say hello to all audience sharing this interview with us. Hello from China. Yeah, and also thank you very much for this very interesting question. Yeah. Because although I'm in China, I closely follow the reportings outside China, especially in Germany, in other Western world. And indeed, it's a big difference, unfortunately, I would say, big difference about what will be reported and what is reality. I'm back to China since September last year. Mm-hmm. For 8 months last year, I could not come back to China because of the current situation. And after coming back to China, I realized, I saw with own eyes how disciplined, how systematic, how serious China is handling the pandemic, the corona. Mm-hmm. And I want to emphasize, it's not a matter of system. It's not a matter of instructions, of orders from the top. It's not a matter of education level of the people. It's a matter of culture. Culture. People think logic. People judge themselves what to do. Mm-hmm. Also from history. They say we have 5,000 years history experience. Mm-hmm. In such a case, you have to pay attention and you have to follow instructions. Yeah? And it's common sense that a Chinese, regardless which age, wears mask.
Yeah, you follow the
nobody needs to.
Yeah, you follow the discussion in Germany and Europe all over the place.
Yes, exactly.
It's hard to compare.
Exactly. And second point, everybody has somehow a smartphone. Everybody, almost everybody, also a 85 years old person. And he can show his green health code. Yeah. It's part of daily life. Yeah. Yeah. And nobody is saying somebody is controlling me. Yeah. People say, thanks, it's a service of my state for me, for my health.
Yeah, it's a very different attitude, and I thank you very much for explaining these different perspectives, and we can have a separate discussion about the management of the COVID crisis. I think that will take another, at least a full day to go from A to Z. But I would like to bring our discussion a little bit to the business and management and the economics of China and Europe, Germany. I have mentioned in my introduction your experience as the advisor to the chairman of one of the largest companies in China. And you have done that for more than 10 years, if I informed correctly, as a big thank you note and sign of gratitude. You have received a very huge and unique celebration by the Chinese government. You earned the Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor a foreign citizen can get in China. And I'm asking a little bit provocative, why do you think the Chinese government has given you that medal? What did you do in all these years that they noted what you have done and they obviously appreciated a lot? What was your contribution to the development of Shenyang?
Shenyang is a very unique company, a state-owned company, and it's very strong in China. And the ambition is to become also famous and strong outside China. But for achieving this, you need to change many things. You must think global, you must act global, you have to design machines globally, and you must be present in global markets. These are nice words, but somebody has to do it like a locomotive. And a locomotive can not go to everywhere. Maybe this locomotive is a very famous one, well-known one, well-networked one, and can like a snowball effect, introduce company outside and also teach company how to become global. One of the reasons why I got this friendship award was my efforts, how I did this. So today, when you ask somebody outside China, who is Chinese machine tool manufacturer, they will tell you it's Shenyang.
100%.
This is my achievement. Second, there were 3 points. Second was my emphasis on win-win cooperations. I opened to many, especially middle-sized hidden champions in Germany, the doors to China. We started cooperations with them, Shenyang, my company and they, or in case they had an idea but was not fitting with our business, I opened them other doors for getting benefit of their capabilities. And third one was my contribution in general to Chinese-German friendship. My wife and me did not only stay with me, do our business, do our duty, work for company. For example, around my wife, there is still a big group of young Chinese boys and girls, let me say. We call them our daughters and sons. We teach them not only machine tools and factory management, we teach them how to live in a Western world, how to work for a Western company, how to even how to speak English, how to speak German. All this was realized by the government and was also published. So they honored also our non-professional contributions.
I think this is a very important aspect, if I may add from my experience, which is more in Southeast Asia, not so much in China. But for me, it's also one of the key success factors. If you are an expatriate living in a foreign country, you really have to mingle with the society from A to Z. And that means you need to have a coffee and a chit chat with the president, as well as with the taxi driver or the security guard. And you really have to appreciate all walks of life. And obviously, you and your family have done that very well. And I can only say you seem to be, let's say, a true ambassador of both countries, of both continents, so to say. And I think that is marvelous, and it's a good case study and a good example how such a cooperation can be successful. But I'm sure in all these years there was not only rosy and honeymoon times. I'm sure you also had your fights and your arguments with the board of Shenyang, or maybe even with some political influence. Can you share with us what were the major challenges or most critical points in these times?
Maybe it sounds as diplomatic or exaggeration.
Nobody is listening. You can tell everything.
No, I have no negative experience. But why? You cannot apply your measures or your scale when you live here. I cannot say from Germany, I know this rules, I know this system, I know these measures. Yeah, I know this way of doing business. I know this way of management. So you have to accept the culture. One day somebody asked me, I should say 3 words for describing life in China or in another culture. I said, understand, respect, and apply. You have to understand the culture, you have to respect the culture, and you have to apply. I give you one example. It was one of my first experiences in China. I was in a meeting with managers of the company, and I said, we apply Western rules. And it was 12 o'clock noontime. And the meeting was not finished. I said, we will be paid by the company. We first finish meeting and then go to lunch. And I had a right-hand person, German speaking, very Chinese, very familiar with Western cultures. He told me, Doctor, you are in China. They smell the food for the lunch. You must stop the meeting, he said. This was my first lesson.
Yeah, very good and very simple example. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was my first lesson. Yeah. Then I said, okay, I respect. So this kind of things. But apart from this country is not Germany. They have other rules. They have other customs. But I also never felt less freedom here. Yeah. If you follow some rules are known, you can feel free, you can do everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure, as you said in the beginning, the perspective when you look as, let's say, as a German CEO or a company owner into China, you know all the bad stories, in terms of joint venture projects, which went sour, or technology theft, which was happening. And my experience is, if I call a German company and say, look, we want to bring you together with a Chinese project, or there's a project in China, today, my feeling is more than 60% would say, oh, thank you very much. Our nose is still bleeding from our first project. We stay in Europe, or we go west, or we go to Africa or the Middle East. So there is a certain sentiment. I'm not sure whether this is really representative, but I had quite a number of cases where we had, let's say, burnt bridges, and companies didn't want to try again because they had bad experience. What is your message to these companies?
Very interesting point. Thank you very much. I want to give 2 comments. First of all, at the beginning, sure, things like that happened because China opened 1976. not even 50 years ago, less than 50 years ago, after so long time, China opened to Western world, and they didn't know anything about the Western world. Yeah, step by step, they entered organizations, World Trade Organization, Money Phone, and this and this, and norm institutes, German industry norm, ISO institutes.
Yeah.
Step by step, they learned, oh, in the world there are rules. We cannot do as we like. Yeah. But until 1.5 billion people understand this,
it takes time. Yeah.
It takes time. So this is one point. And when I compare 15 years ago when I came to China and today, two different worlds. I know from very good sources, even Western companies, if there is a court case here, Western companies win.
Yeah.
And in the judge is Chinese.
Yeah.
I know these people, therefore I say so sure. Allow me second point. It was my daily life almost. Many people from all over the world want to approach the chairman. Yeah, and many people, and he cannot accept everybody. And it was my honor, let me say, to judge who can have a talk with the chairman. And I always, I was saying, please come one day earlier. I invite you for dinner. And we talk very open about the issue. And I tell you how to talk, how to behave, and how to communicate, how to argue. Yeah. Then I promise you it will be a good meeting. But some people
understand, respect, and apply, like you said a few minutes ago. Exactly.
Exactly. But I met many people. Some were told saying, okay, very important persons, I can call prime minister. So this kind of people. I said, very sorry. You are in China. You have to understand the rules here. Yeah. If you mean you have only 2 hours time and you come next day with your stuff and have 2 hours meeting and want to leave, I cannot help you. Yeah. And such kind of meetings failed. So you have to understand, respect, and apply. Yeah. And a meeting with Chinese, don't start with looking at the watch, but taking first tea. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There are so many, let's say, tools and recommendations, how to respect culture, starting with how you present a business card, but how do you mingle for dinner and lunch, and how important that is. You mentioned a few examples. So we could talk endlessly, and I'm very sure you have lots of experience to possibly write a book about it.
Yes.
I would like to change subject again and discuss a little bit the discussion about technology. You mentioned when we talked about Corona that the digitalization of the society, in this case, is a very important tool for managing a health crisis, for instance. But also in the, let's say, in the industrial space, we see artificial intelligence, we see 5G, even 6G networks coming up. We have e-mobility coming out of China with new battery technologies, you name it. And in some cases, we hear a little bit of worry, that especially Germany or Europe may not be the leader of the next innovation cycle we are going to see. China is flying to the back of the moon. They have their own satellite system. You mentioned new standards the Chinese are applying to, let's say, communication, for instance.
Yeah.
They do a lot of stuff in e-payment. We see the big e-commerce giants from China starting to roll out also outside China. So that is a huge tsunami, I call it, coming across the world, not only China, because the global e-market is global, and it is not going to stay in China. What is your take on this very important topic for the development of the economies of the industrialized countries who are in competition to China?
First of all, I would like to look to industrial history. Today, we are talking about what and whom when we consider our industry. We are talking about Mercedes. We are talking about Bosch. We are talking about Siemens, BASF, Thyssen, Krupp. This is all old technology. The 20th century machineries invented by Germans, still dominating not only Germany, but the whole world. And what are we talking additionally? We are talking about digitalization. We are talking about e-commerce, e-payment, e-health, everything e. Which German name you can mention?
Exactly, there is none.
Maybe SAP, but they have huge problems at the moment. We are talking about Amazon, we are talking about Google, we are talking about Facebook. You can name all of them. I say we have to think of our strengths and we have to accept our weak points. We have to make a SWOT analysis. SWOT. I say I can afford this in my age. Germans have mechanical genes. Mechanical genes.
No e-genes.
Chinese and also Americans have digital genes. Digital.
Okay.
We can fight about it. Am I right or not right?
I think from a trend perspective, from a very general perspective, I would fully agree with you. And especially when we see you have talked about, let's say, visitors from Europe, from Germany, and especially in your industry, machinery engineering, it's a male technology dominated breed, so to say, with a lot of machinery and engineering education and knowledge. And I think, to my opinion, really is that Germany needs a wake-up call in that respect. You know, there is no Tesla, there is no Google, there is no WeChat or WhatsApp. Everybody, me included, we are a little bit worried, you know, that we are missing the wave, you know, and that we are losing the research, the innovation game. On the other hand, you have to acknowledge Germany is still very strong when it comes to university, the research institute. You have mentioned Fraunhofer Institute as an example. So we shouldn't panic also, but it's very important to understand the game, you know?
Exactly. And Germany has dual education system. If we can maintain this education system, we can be always competitive. Machineries, in case of machineries, I say I don't worry of any machinery company in Germany, but we must maintain the good education system. We will not be able to cope in digital level with China or with USA. So still German fiber systems, how to call it, Glasfaser.
Fiber network. Optic network.
Fiber network. The speed is, last year it was worldwide number 26. ranking 26. When you go to Switzerland, it's much faster. When you go to Denmark, much faster. Germany, worldwide number 26.
You are
And
hitting you're hitting a weak spot in the German system here. I tell you that.
Yeah. So with this infrastructure, you cannot be competitive.
Yeah.
What to do if you understand you are not competitive? You have to admit, and you have to look for win-win corporations. And this is my mission last year's, but also for future. Best win-win corporations we can establish between Germany and China. So Germany with machineries and China with digital power.
No.
So,
I think that's a very, very interesting and nice statement. And I also hear about the slogan, let's make it a win-win cooperation.
yes.
But because of some of the arguments we have exchanged, I think it is important still to have, let's say, people in between, inverted commas, in a very positive meaning. People like yourself, you who understand and live in the country and who can cross the gap, so to say, and explain and educate both sides.
Yes.
And we would, as a German, let's say, I would expect that the Chinese also try to learn and understand a little bit about my needs and my desire, for instance, to protect my technology or to have certain standards in labor laws or in unions or what have you, or in environmental standards. And there are still so many topics which are not even or not at par. And I think we have no worry about a lack of work, in terms of helping companies to come together and create win-win scenarios. Yeah. Maybe the last topic I would like to touch today, China has a very ambitious Make in China agenda 2025. And we have heard Make America Great Again the last 4 years. Now we see discussion, how is the new US administration handling China? So there's still a little bit of uneasiness, I would call it, in terms of what is the political administration doing in terms of how do we manage the cooperation? Are we becoming just friends again, shake hands and forget about the last 4 years? Or is there still some sentiment where people say, no, some of the arguments of the Trump administration were right. We have to basically tell and arm twist China to do certain things the way we want them to do that? Or is China saying, well, I just don't care. My market is big enough. If the Americans want to fight, so let's go for a fight.
This is also a very interesting point. China understood that they must be careful for future. Yeah, China always sticking to friendship. I'm convinced of this. And I say, I hope next 40, 50 years, China can be strong and dominate because as long as China is strong, I don't expect any war in the world. China, coming from history, coming from culture, coming from Confucius, China is not a fighter.
They never conquered any other country. Yeah.
Exactly. China, all Chinese wants to have peace, wants to have harmony. But thanks to Trump, China understood, oh, I cannot trust everybody and long term. Yeah. Therefore, the new headline of the recent latest 5-year plan, the 14th, which will start now, is dual circulation. Okay. Dual circulation means take care of world markets, take care of the world, but also take care of domestic markets, take care of China, take care of your own people.
In a way, it's a little bit of yin and yang philosophy, right? Isn't it?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So they mean we cannot ignore domestic market. We cannot ignore our own people. If something fails outside China, we can compensate with China, with our people. And this is a huge market, unbelievable market.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, Dr. Ganiyusufoglu, I think we are coming to our end of the interview. Our time is running out. I really like to thank you for your contribution and insights. And I could go on and talk with you for another hour or two, no problem. And I'm really looking forward to our next personal physical meeting, even though we are still living in the virtual world. You have a very new, challenging job. You told me just now you are working now in Qingdao as an advisor to a Fraunhofer type of institute, and you will invite European or Western companies who want to develop their technologies in China. We wish you lots of luck and success for that. I'm sure there will be areas where we can also cooperate. And with this, I wish you Gongxi Fa Chai. You have the Chinese New Year festival now. So today is still a holiday. And best regards to all our friends from China, from Turkey, from Berlin, and wherever they are watching. I really enjoyed our deep talk on China and your experience. Thank you very much. And you have the last word.
Yeah, Mr. Friedrich, I also say a warm thank you to you for your interesting questions, up-to-date questions, and I think to the audience for the patience and for the attention they forward to me. And indeed, I would be very happy to meet you again physically. And yeah, I wish to everybody, first of all, best health, good health, and soon environment with more freedom, but freedom, I mean, not politically, but as happiness. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you very much indeed. Have a nice day. Cheers. Bye-bye.